Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we step into one of the most confusing, disturbing, and emotionally haunting unsolved mysteries in modern American history, a case that sits at the intersection of ambition, secrecy, fear, and unanswered questions. This is Inside the Death of Rey Rivera, the bizarre note that still makes no sense, a story that begins with dreams of success and ends with a death so strange that even years later, investigators, journalists, and audiences around the world still struggle to understand what truly happened. Our story begins with Rey Rivera himself, a talented, intelligent, and charismatic man born in 1973, a former water polo player, aspiring screenwriter, and devoted husband who moved to Baltimore with big hopes and creative ambition, believing he was on the verge of breaking into Hollywood, encouraged by his longtime friend Porter Stansberry, a successful financial newsletter publisher who offered Rey work and opportunity, a move that appeared to mark the beginning of a promising new chapter in Rey's life. By all accounts, Rey was loving, optimistic, and deeply committed to his wife Allison, with no history of mental illness, no known substance abuse, and no clear signs that he was unraveling. Yet beneath the surface, subtle tensions may have been building, as Rey struggled creatively, felt financial pressure, and worked in an environment surrounded by powerful people, confidential information, and strict corporate secrecy. The mystery truly ignited on May 16, 2006, when Allison left town on a business trip, and later that evening, Rey received a phone call at home, a call so urgent that he rushed out of the house in flip-flops, never telling anyone where he was going, never returning, and leaving behind nothing but silence and growing fear. When Rey failed to come home, Allison and family immediately sensed something was wrong, and what followed was an intense, emotional search involving police, friends, co-workers, and volunteers. Yet days passed with no answers, until May 24, when Rey's body was discovered in one of the most shocking locations imaginable, inside a lower conference room of the historic Belvedere Hotel in downtown Baltimore, a place Rey was known to visit but not one easily accessible or logical as a destination. The scene defied explanation, because directly above the room where Rey was found was a small hole in the hotel's roof, as if his body had crashed through from above. Yet the physics made little sense. The hole was too far from any ledge, the trajectory was unclear, and no witnesses reported seeing or hearing a fall, raising immediate doubts about whether Rey could have jumped on his own. Even more troubling was Rey's physical condition. While his legs were severely fractured, consistent with a fall from height, his glasses and cell phone were found near the hole, largely undamaged, an almost impossible detail if they had fallen alongside him from such a distance, suggesting placement rather than impact. As investigators searched Rey's home, they uncovered the single most unsettling piece of evidence in the entire case, a bizarre, rambling note taped to the back of Rey's computer, written in extremely small font, filled with cryptic references, strange lists of names, movie quotes, philosophical ideas, and what appeared to be coded language, ending with what some interpreted as a farewell, yet others saw as nonsensical or symbolic, a document that read less like a suicide note and more like the fragmented thoughts of someone immersed in symbolism, secrecy, or paranoia. The note referenced secret societies, the movie The Game, Freemasons, and ideas of initiation, leading some to believe Rey may have felt involved in something far larger than himself, while others argue the note reflected creative brainstorming or internal stress rather than suicidal intent. What made the case even darker was the behavior surrounding the investigation. Police quickly ruled Rey's death a suicide despite glaring inconsistencies, failed to thoroughly investigate alternative theories, and later revealed that Porter Stansberry's company issued a gag order preventing employees from cooperating fully with investigators, a move that fueled suspicion, anger, and speculation, especially given Rey's close personal and professional ties to that world. Allison firmly rejected the idea that her husband took his own life, pointing out Rey's fear of heights, future plans, and positive mindset, and her fight for answers revealed just how many details remained unexplored, from potential financial conflicts to the possibility that Rey had uncovered information he was never meant to see. Theories exploded in every direction. Some suggested Rey was experiencing a mental break, others believed he was lured to the hotel under false pretenses, possibly meeting someone he trusted, while more extreme theories proposed corporate cover-ups or even foul play disguised as suicide. yet none could be conclusively proven. The medical examiner ultimately ruled Rey's death as undetermined, a rare and significant decision acknowledging that the evidence simply did not support a clear conclusion, leaving the case suspended in ambiguity, neither solved nor fully investigated. Years later, the case gained renewed attention through documentaries and public interest, especially after it was featured on Unsolved Mysteries, reigniting debate and frustration as viewers around the world questioned how so many inconsistencies could be ignored, how critical leads went cold, and how a man could seemingly vanish, die, and leave behind a puzzle no one could complete. Psychologically, Rey Rivera's case is terrifying not because of what we know, but because of what we don't: the missing moments, the unexplained phone call, the impossible physics, and the note that refuses to fit neatly into any narrative, whether suicide, accident, or murder. The bizarre note remains the most haunting artifact of all, because it offers just enough meaning to suggest intention, but not enough clarity to explain motive, making it a Rorschach test for fear, belief, and speculation. Today, Rey Rivera's death stands as a reminder of how fragile truth can be when power, secrecy, and institutional failure collide, and how easily unanswered questions can be buried under official conclusions that fail to satisfy reality. And now, as we step back from the towering walls of the Belvedere Hotel and return to the present, we are left with a chilling realization that Rey Rivera did not just leave behind a body, but a mystery constructed from silence, contradictions, and a note that still refuses to make sense. Thank you for joining me on this deep exploration into one of the most unsettling unsolved deaths of our time. And as we close this story, remember this: some mysteries endure not because the truth is unknowable, but because someone, somewhere, chose not to look too closely. And until the right questions are answered, Rey Rivera's final moments will remain suspended between logic and darkness, forever waiting for the truth to catch up.